And joining us now here at Right Side Broadcasting Network is the great Roger Stone. Roger, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be with you.
So can you talk to us about President Trump right now? I mean, this guy obviously has went through so much. You've gone through so much, but it's all for we the people, isn't it?
I saw the president last Thursday, and I must tell you, after these reports that he was ill or even that he was dead, he has never looked better in the 50 years that I have known him. He is determined, he is resolved, he's focused, and he's having the time of his life, in all honesty. I do think post Butler, Pennsylvania, that he has a certain serenity about him, a certain sureness. I think he understands that he's protected by the armor of God, but he also has a greater urgency. I think he understands that, at least based on the Constitution, he has 4 years to turn the ship of state around, and therefore every single minute, every single hour, every single day counts. He's always been a hard worker. He's always been a guy who required very little sleep, but he's in top form. I must tell you, in the 50 years that I've known him, he's never been better, stronger, or more resolved.
Exactly. And we've been seeing these great reforms for our country with these 20 core promises to the American people. What are your thoughts about when it comes to the deep state with this whole Russia hoax and the DOJ investigation into these guys? A lot of people calling for arrests. If there's evidence and receipts, will this not be what's needed to keep our country saved past 2028?
Well, thanks to Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, we now know definitively that the Russian collusion hoax was the greatest single dirty trick in American political history. It was a massive abuse of power in which the full authority of the United States government and the incredible capabilities of our intelligence agencies were used, utilizing two completely fabricated pieces of evidence: the Steele dossier, the fake report paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign that falsely claimed that Donald Trump had dallied with prostitutes in Moscow when visiting as a private businessman, and the false claim that the Democrat National Committee had been hacked by Russian intelligence. But the media still clings to that latter narrative, even though there is no forensic evidence whatsoever to prove that, because, well, it never actually happened. So, yes, I think those who were involved in this seditious conspiracy to undo the results of a perfectly legal election, the election of a duly elected president, a plot that was born in the Oval Office under Barack Obama that included Joe Biden, National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Director of National Intelligence General James Clapper, FBI Director James Comey, CIA Director John Brennan, one of the major ringleaders, Robert Mueller, Acting Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Deputy FBI Director McCabe. This list goes on and on. All of these people need to be prosecuted. This is no longer conjecture. It's no longer speculation. It's no longer the result of investigative reporting. Let me put it this way. Tulsi Gabbard has produced the receipts, and now it's time to take that information to a grand jury and to charge these people with the crime of seditious conspiracy and, yes, treason.
100%. I remember interviewing conservative author T.S. Dixon. He said the same thing. Seditious conspiracy is the charge, and that the statute of limitations doesn't matter when it comes to seditious conspiracy. So there's just a lot, and there's other crimes that we've seen out there just playing out in the media when it comes to the lawfare against the president, against we the people. But Roger, do you think that outside of the 20 core promises, that this is what's needed to really cement the reforms for our country post President Trump?
I think there's no question. First of all, I think it's important to recognize that this seditious conspiracy that began with the Russian collusion hoax continued into the 2020 election, continued into the 2023-24 period, which is why, in the end, these trials do not have to be held in Washington, D.C. I can tell you firsthand that you cannot get a fair trial in Washington, D.C., that you have an epically corrupted and biased, politically motivated judiciary. The jury pool is horrendously partisan. But because the continuing conspiracy did not end with the 2016, 2017 period, these people can be brought to justice in a different jurisdiction, presumably South Florida, because the raid on Mar-a-Lago, which was really about getting the evidence of their crimes back so that they could avoid prosecutions, is a continuing act in the same conspiracy. If this does not happen, then I suspect that post-Trump, those who have burrowed their way deep into our government, the bureaucrats, the unelected but very powerful elements that are involved not only in government, not only at the Pentagon, not only in our intelligence agencies, but in the think tanks, in the defense contractors, they will return to power, which will be a disaster. We already saw under Biden how they undid many of the important reforms and progress from Donald Trump's first term. They will immediately seek to do the same thing, which is why I don't concede the midterm elections. Those chicken littles who run around saying, oh, we're definitely going to lose the House, not necessarily. Donald Trump is building us an extraordinarily strong and vibrant economy. All of the experts said if he pursues these tougher trade negotiations, inflation is going to rage out of control, unemployment is going to surge, the stock market is going to crash. Wrong about all of it. For the first time in the month of June, we actually had a surplus in the United States. And if the Federal Reserve will follow the rules using the inflation index and the unemployment index, which today are either lower than or at the same level than they were the last four times they cut interest rates on the American people, this economy will really boom.
And we're looking forward to seeing that. And before I let you go, Roger, thanks again for spending the time with us here on Right Side. The question is Chicago, the National Guard, and these big cities out there. You've got guys like Pritzker and Brandon Johnson and Newscomb and AOC all around the country. What are your thoughts about the National Guard being dispatched to a number of major cities out there?
The President of the United States' first responsibility under the Constitution is to maintain order and the safety of the American people. And I think he's committed to do that. Chicago, despite what J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson, and if his IQ was 1 point lower, you'd have to water him like a plant. Despite what they say, Chicago is quickly becoming the murder capital of the country. And I suspect among the residents of Chicago, just like among the residents of D.C., that they would welcome the National Guard to maintain the public safety. I think the president will ultimately move in Chicago. I think he will move in Portland. I think he'll move in other cities if he has to. I have no doubt that left-wing district court judges somewhere are going to try to stop him, as they've tried to stop every major reform. But they're trying to undo the mandate of the last national election, in which the president won the popular vote. He won every swing state. And the American people have spoken loud and clear. He ran as the law and order candidate, and we're going to have law and order. They call it tyranny. What they really fear is losing control of their machines. And that's why Pritzker and the mayor are out to lunch.
Yeah, they are. And, I'm thinking about the fact of freedom as well. And I was just thinking about the United Kingdom, right? We want the Reform Party with Nigel Farage or whoever out there, Tommy Robinson. These guys are all about freedom. But we don't want our country to ever look like the way the UK is going right now with migration and freedom of speech and people get knocking at the doors if you said something bad about the nothing violent. But if you're just like, I don't like the prime minister, knock, knock, knock. We don't want that, Roger. And your thoughts about how that will not happen here. What needs to happen for that not to happen here?
I think what happened in the 2024 elections was a great political realignment. In which Republicans joined with common sense Democrats and independents, people like Robert Kennedy, people like Tulsi Gabbard, who was then a Democrat, people like Rod Blagojevich. And the divisions are very clear. Either you are for war or you are for peace. Either you're for free speech or you're for censorship. Either you're for Wall Street and the big pharma and big food companies doing whatever they want as long as their profit margins remain fat, or you're for making America healthy again. That is the divide in America. It's not between Republicans and Democrats. It's between globalists and those who believe in common sense.
100%. It's the free world versus that tyranny that we're seeing out there. Roger Stone, thanks so much for joining us. Where can people watch your show, sir?
They can, first of all, then go to stonezone.com. They can follow me there, everything I write, and most of the shows that I do. And then every day at wabcradio.com. That's wabcradio.com at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in the Stone Zone.
Roger, what would you like to say to the Right Side Broadcasting Network viewers that love you?
Well, first of all, I guess I would thank everybody out there who prayed for me and my family or contributed to my legal defense fund when I was fighting for my life. I have a policy whenever I'm out in public and people ask me for a selfie or tell me they want to pray with me, I always say yes. I could be mid-bite in a hamburger and I'll still always say yes. And it always turns out that the patriot who approaches me is someone who helped me in our time of need. So God bless your viewers. God bless your listeners who stood with me and my family. It was not an easy thing to go through. They tried to pressure me to lie. They wanted me to bear false witness against the president. I refused to do that. I want people to remember what I was convicted of. Lying about Russian collusion, which we now know never actually happened. How do you lie about something that never happened? So God bless your viewers and listeners, and thanks for having me.
You are a legend. We love you. Thank you, Roger Stone, for spending the time with us here on Right Side.
Thanks again.
Thank you.